Hey, I'm back again after the day off and had a really nice green day. I think it might have been worth it. Hey, fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. It's Friday, May 2nd, my first trading day of the month of May, with the day off yesterday, like I mentioned. And good day, very good day. Well, actually, the best day I've had in about 6 weeks now. About 170 per account, so nothing crazy, but just steady 170 across the board. I now have 8 funded accounts. I did pass a couple more Apex evals on Wednesday, so I did activate those this morning and decided to trade them today. I would have wanted a little bit more with those, but 160, 170 is what I got. So I've thought about getting a little aggressive with these two and just really try to push them to a payout within, 10 trading days, 2 weeks, so to speak. So we'll see if I don't know, I may increase the size on these two and just push them harder, but we shall see. On that note, my expenses definitely increased activating these couple accounts, and I thought I had canceled some evals that apparently I forgot to cancel. Just go to the eval side of things. I did have a decent day on evals too, which I just copy them with my funded accounts, but I thought I had canceled a couple of these take profits and a couple of these tradeifys, but apparently I didn't, and they rebuild. So I decided, well, might as well trade them and see if I can pass them. So I had a good little day on these. Nothing, crazy, but that's that. So anyway, unfortunately, like I said, it increased the costs, the expenses, and I'm really trying to minimize that and get a couple more payouts before we incur a lot more expenses. So that's why I'm really thinking of maybe being aggressive with these two and trying to push them really hard and get them to the finish line. So, and on that note, on account 83, we are just a little bit over $1,000 away from payout, so that feels awesome. Love that. Not that we're there. I mean, $1,000 is still a little ways to go, but definitely feels like we're on the right track. This account's now at 1,200 in profit, so we're almost at the halfway point there. So yeah, things are going well. Got these accounts getting close to back to zero, so to speak, after we had them in the hole quite a bit. So anyway, enough of the rambling. Let's jump into the trades themselves. I think we'll just dive in. Let's look at TradeZella here. This is today, 1,300, 75% win rate, pretty nice day. Average win to loss was down a little bit today. Only had one bigger winning trade and had one bigger loss, or one full loss, I should say. The rest were all just, I think I had one other very small loss, and then the other trades were kind of ho-hum. Nothing crazy, but good start to the month. If we look at the week, I really like the weekly. Looking at those numbers as well, 2,600 this week, 65% win rate. That's more in line with, it's actually a little bit higher than I typically am. Nice average win to loss. Average winner was 90, average loser 53. I'd like to improve that a little bit, but we did have a pretty good solid week. So that's that. Let's just dive into the trades themselves, and we'll walk through those. The first one was a losing trade. That was the only big full loss I took today, and this was a break and retest of yesterday's high of day on ES. It was a good setup. NQ was below yesterday's high of day. When I took this trade and it started rejecting, that should have been the cue to not take this trade or kill it maybe a little bit more quickly. I'm okay with it. It was a good setup. You can kind of see, here's the high of day yesterday. We had some really nice holds. We had one little blip through, but we were holding quite well, and it just felt like a pretty good setup. But obviously, we did push up but then reject, and I just let it stop me out. I probably should have killed that a little bit earlier. In fact, let's just go there. So that trade, I took that trade, I think, right about in here, and you can see this started to reject. No, I'm sorry. That I took that trade in here, and it started to reject the high of day on the NASDAQ, and I was on here on yes, and we had this little move down, tested VWAP, and that really was the only down push today to speak of. Everything else was pretty much an uptrending day. So unfortunately, I was a little bit early maybe in that trade, but that was that. Moving on to the next trade. I'm not sure if I'm going to walk through all of them. I took 8 of them today. This one here was nothing crazy. This was just a break and retest to the high a day. I had several of these, and I think the lesson for me today was when the setup is there, take it, and I did. And I definitely took some nice trades. They just didn't work, but keeping my, having a good risk parameter and keeping my losses to very much a minimum was huge. Break and retest of yesterday's high day, got one contract profit, then out break even. My size was too big. Had I been in with 2 contracts, I could have caught more. That was on this right here. As you can see, I noticed actually my wins kept getting better as I started taking these trades, but we were bouncing off the high a day, and I was really taking the longs off of that for the most part. That was really the game plan today on the NASDAQ. And this first one here, I was in, like I said, with too much size. If I'd had bigger size, I could have withstood a little bit more, and I probably would have got a bigger move, could have got more profit. But anyway, these, I might as well just walk through them here. I mean, I took a trade here, the same thing. We tested the high of day. I had some holds coming in, took that out with one contract, stopped out break even. Here, we were breaking and retesting really the overnight session high, took that one contract off at this next 186 level and out break even, and then took the last one here again, and that one ended up being a really nice trade. That was the best trade of the day on this really clear break and retest. And this was the reason I took this trade, was this liquidity candle right here. This was holding, liquidity grab, boom. And when this pushed higher, I said, I've got to take this, took that trade. And that one was, I was out with like around 200 on that one, I think. Let's just go to TradeZella and we'll get a little bit more clarity on that trade. That was this one right here. 223. Yeah, so $200 trade. And you can see here how this liquidity grab, when this candle pushed higher, I had to take that setup, and definitely out with a really nice trade. I did panic on this one just a little bit. We had this big move, this big wick here right at noon basically, and I started to get panicky here, and I just took profit here. I had about a 90-point trade there, which was really nice, but I took profit. I thought I might have taken it a little bit early, but we really kind of rolled over at that point. That really almost was the high a day. I mean, not quite. Let's see where we're at now. Yeah, we're still kind of bumbling around here at the end of the day, but that really kind of was the high. I mean, I could have got a little bit more here, but I would have had to sit through all this noise to get there. So my target on that trade was 280, so I actually wouldn't have gotten there completely, so it was probably okay. And again, I think that's something to keep in mind. Once I get a target or a trade that's really up near my last profit target, it's okay to close it early or move the stop up a little bit, but good trade nonetheless. And then I took 2 trades, I think, with, yeah, took 2 trades with this account, or the bottom 4. Basically, I should have mentioned this earlier. Now that I'm back to 8, what I decided to do is split these in 2 groups of 4. So the top 4 are traded as one group, the bottom 4 are traded as one group. That's what I'm doing. So just for what it's worth. I took this rejection after we couldn't break the 5722s on ES for about 45 minutes. We just couldn't break, and that really lined up with this high right here, with this wick high, and this just kind of seemed to be a ceiling. After we couldn't break it, I decided to take this short and ended up getting out of there with, I want to say like 140 maybe. Let's just look. That was this trade right here. Yeah, 140 the way it looks. That was this trade here. Again, we just couldn't break it, so I decided I'm going to take this thing short. And the crazy thing on this one is after the first 2 contracts were hit, I was trying to set up a trail stop, and it took me out of the trade. I have no clue what happened. So first contract hit, second contract hit. I had a pretty tight stop loss because I was like, if we break this level, I'm just killing the trade. So I had a very low risk. And out with these first 2, and I was going to play this last one to go down here to this. Actually, I think I had it to the high of day from the overnight to see if we could get there. And I thought I would just set a trailing stop and kind of protect profits. And, I was okay at that point if I get stopped out. Well, I was setting this trailing stop up, and all at once I hear order filled. and I was out of the trade on the last contract. So, I mean, I had a nice trade, and the trailing stop would have been somewhere here. So it would have gotten hit right in this move. So I actually would have given up a little bit more had that not happened. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, but still a little bit frustrating not know what happened all at once, took me out of the trade. I took the last one here, and this one I really should have taken this trade a lot more quickly. We had this little mini push up trying to break through this 22s, and we really couldn't. We ultimately was a rejection, and I waited until all the way down here to take this trade and get out with one contract and then out break even, and then we've just kind of chopped for the rest of the day. But I really should have taken this setup as we kind of broke down here, and I thought about it, but the fact that this had pushed back up, it's kind of given me caution. But I finally the price action was so clear. I was like, this thing's going down. And we had a pretty quick move down, and then she kind of had the same move on the NASDAQ. The other thing that gave me caution was earlier, the NASDAQ had bounced off of this 200 or the 190 level. And that was really this right here, this 190 level was where this last trade here had stopped out. So that gave me a little bit of pause, but I did take it, ended up with just, an extra $30. Wasn't crazy, but that actually pushed these accounts up to the 170 because this was a $130 trade and another 30 that put it up to, well, 30 some dollars. So we're up to about 170, but that was the day. Very happy with it. Very good day. Very solid day. Again, when the setup is there, setup was here, you got to take those. Just absolutely have to take those setups. This was not really part of my trade plan today. I was really looking for longs above the high of day, but this was just such a clear rejection. We just couldn't break. I had to take it short. Very profitable trade. And then here again, I was a little hesitant, but that it was a nice trade, but it could have been way better. So anyway, the other thing worth noting is if you looked at my morning trade plan today, I mentioned the 50 SMA, the 50 daily 50 SMA, and we are very much held strongly above that. So we have pushed above the daily 20, we've pushed above the daily 50, and we're now approaching the daily 100 and 200, which look like they're going to collide here over maybe the next couple of days. So we shall see. But this is definitely good news for the market. I think the next big area on the NASDAQ is the 500s. If we can break the 500s, we're going to start to see some free air back to the upside. So we got a little ways to go there, a couple hundred points. But that could be in play early next week. On ES, we have a very similar thing. We've broken above, broken above, I should say, the 50 SMA, and we're well above the daily 20. And so I like that. And as you can see here, the 100 and 200 have actually crossed here on the ES. So I think the big level, the next big one here on ES is about the 5,800. So if we can get above the 5,800s again, we're starting to push into some big free air up to the upside on ES. But anyway, I will leave you with that. That's the day. Again, thank you. Appreciate you guys hanging out, following along. And appreciate you using my code where applicable. And thanks for following along and supporting me on this journey. And have a great weekend. Have a good trading day on Monday. And I think I'm actually going to probably take most of the day off on Monday. I might trade the afternoon session. We shall see. But I've got some things going on in the morning, so I probably won't trade in the morning. So I may or may not have an update on Monday, but if I don't, I'll likely have an update on Tuesday. So take care, trade well. Until next time, so long.